today I want to address tips on how to heal parental wounding, what we call daddy wounds and mommy wounds. Number one, you can do a lot of journaling. What is this journaling about? Is you affirming yourself? Is you identifying who you are? Is you looking inward and saying, who am I? Look back into your life and see, when I was in primary school, what was I good at? What did I used to do? What were my core curriculum activities that I applied in school? When I was a preteen, what made me happy? What made me sad? What made me feel alive? Look at those things. Who are my friends? How was I as a friend in my home? What was it like to be in that home? If you are able to identify these root issues, they are going to help you now to see how in your teenagehood you begin to develop who you are going to be in relationship to yourself as well as your relationships with other people. Also, you will be able to see how did you form a world view. If your parents were too controlling, you were not allowed to make mistakes. If you did make mistakes, they turned it personal. How could you do this to us? Some things as a teenager that you did, which are normal teenage behavior, they were taken with such heaviness. It's almost like you had really done an abominable sin. You feel like you dishonored your parents, you betrayed them, you disappointed them, and so you tend to see yourself as a disappointment. No matter what you do, you feel like you are never good enough. So you can journal about these experiences, these feelings. Let me warn you, once you start to look inside and to dig in, you are going to feel a lot of negative emotions. You may feel very vulnerable and you may feel absolutely overwhelmed by the emotions that you stop. If you feel that way, then you know that you do have a need for you to find outside support, like a therapist, like myself, to be able to say, give me a few sessions that I may be able to resolve some of the woundedness that I experienced as a child. Number two, we want to begin to do self-care. And this is where now you practice self-acceptance and self-compassion. It can be as simple as you create a routine of taking care of yourself. Simple things like waking up at a certain time, taking good care of your grooming, and number three, eating well and sleeping well. You begin to take charge of your health, because what happens when you have low self-esteem, you have a lot of self-condemnation, you have a lot of self-abandonment and a lot of self-hatred. What happens? You stop taking care of yourself, and abuse, especially extensive abuse in your childhood, will cause you to have very low feeling of value, that you abandon yourself, you don't take care of yourself. Create routines, create structure, don't just sit around. Most of us, what will happen is that we are either in a job that creates structure for us. So the day that I am not working, I have no plan. I find myself, I just lie around, I don't want to do anything, I feel so exhausted, I feel so lost. If you identify yourself as a person who cannot create a self-routine, your own, where you drive it, then you want to say to yourself, I need to look at why this is not so. And most of the times it's because you do not value yourself. So start valuing yourself by taking care of yourself. Number three, take care of your spiritual health. Ask yourself, if you are a believer in a higher power, this God that you believe in, do you also feel like he is too demanding? He is too high there. I cannot reach him. I am not good enough for him. I am not acceptable to him. You need to address that. So you want to learn how to appreciate and how to stay with yourself. Treat yourself to be alone with your thoughts. Try to learn how to look at what you're thinking about yourself and to correct some of these narratives. Make sure that your social connections are adding value to you. Some of us, because of the fact that we did not connect with healthy people growing up, our connections are with people, and when they abuse us, we stay in those relationships and we continue to give, and we don't get back. So learn how to create and develop relationships that are healthy. If the relationships you have are not adding value to you, give yourself permission to let them go. Do not agree to believe that if I leave this relationship, I will not find another. And do not think that those people who have a lot of relationships or they have better friends, it just happens just like that. No, it is because some of the people who have good, healthy relationships is because they have acknowledged who they are and what they need, and they have intentionally looked for that. So it's okay for you to let go of relationships that are not adding value to you. You also want to take care of your intellectual health. You need to learn how to create new information that you feed your mind to. Many of us, we are just spending a lot of time on social media, and there is nothing of value that we are getting. We are just spectating on other people, what they are doing, what they are buying, how they are living. But we want to use social media as a way to grow. Look at pages where there is new things that you can learn. Update the software of your mind. Create situations where you are listening to podcasts about how to have better health, better emotional health, how to increase your mental grit, how to increase your sense of self, how to create boundaries with people. Read about things that are going to bring value to you. Create situations where you are improving the knowledge that is in your mind. If you work on self-care and you begin to esteem yourself, then you will develop a feeling of worth, and your dependence on your parents to be able to give you the feeling of worth will reduce. The other thing that you need to do as an adult who is dealing with parents who wounded you, you need to go through another process. It's a spiritual process, the process of forgiveness. You need to go to a professional counselor who understands the concept of forgiveness. It's not rationalizing what they did. It is actually acknowledging that you were wounded. It is giving voice to your inner child. And then after you give it the voice, it is allowing yourself to say, even though this happened to me, it did not mean that I am a bad person. So you stop the narrative of labeling yourself as a bad child. It is not you. If somebody wounded you as a child, it wasn't because of you. It was because of them, the choice that they made. And so you begin to disentangle yourself from this space of unforgiveness and bitterness, and you begin to learn how to let go of the past and how now you can be able to protect yourself. Individuals who stay in that unforgiving and bitterness space, they keep repeating the same behaviors because they're holding on to that bitterness does not give you an opportunity to learn or to glean out the lessons from what you have experienced in the past. But if you stay and go through the process of letting go, forgiving, letting go of the bitterness, you pull out the lessons so that your future is going to be different. What you do today, the choices you make today is going to be different. Boundary setting is not going to happen for you unless you are willing to grieve the end of your expectation of your parent. You need to have realistic expectations of your parent. Stop hoping and wishing that they will act differently. Accept that they will never, and they have never, and now you are going to make choices moving forward of what you are going to expect from them so that you can free yourself from this constant feeling of disappointment, this constant feeling of abandonment. Because every time they act the same way they acted when you were younger, you go into a space of feeling rejected and abandoned. Align yourself with the reality of who they are. Then you can begin your process of healing because you adjust your expectations and then you create certain boundaries. Once you start creating boundaries, especially with parents who are toxic, you are going to get the pushback. You need to be consistent and you need to have a lot of confidence in what you are doing. The why are you doing it, is going to be very important as you heal and as you walk this journey of healing. Once you have let go of the bitterness, that does not mean that you're going to never feel any pain. It just means that when you feel the pain, you will remind yourself, I am no longer there. This is a new day. This is a new space that I am, and I am choosing again to let go. I'm not going to dwell on that. So learn how to redirect your thoughts. Learn how to interrupt that consistent why me, why didn't you do. When it comes into your mind, use your self-care tools, which I hope that you have heard what they could be like. I am willing to walk with you. I usually say if you take about 6 to 8 sessions and sometimes even 12 sessions of personal journey where you are doing your self-awareness, self-insight, self-development, and designing the kind of life you want in the future, you will find that it changes the trajectory of your life. It is never too late. You cannot do anything about the past except learn lessons. You cannot do anything about the future because it's a mystery. But there is something you can do about today by addressing the lessons you have learned from these negative experiences and also using those lessons to create what you would like the future to be. So until I talk to you next time, reach out to me through my website. I will be glad to support you. And until then, may you continue to live by design.